Ladies and gentlemen, it is the start of a brand new week, and we have a bunch of incredible gaming news to go over. We have some Xbox and PS5 news, some Switch 2 news, some Switch 2 leaks, some Switch 2 updates, and a possible major Switch 2 game leaking like years in advance. All very exciting stuff, so let's just go ahead and get into the video. So before we get into this video, I have to show you a little conspiracy or a little inside information. Do you know this famous video of Mario signing his signature? Let me play it for you really quick. Yeah, seems pretty normal, right? But if you listen a little bit closer, you might hear something different.
We must kill Luigi!
I'm just saying, it sounds pretty interesting. Now, before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram and Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's currently called, I'd really appreciate if you join this community so we can continue to grow and do cooler stuff over here on this channel. And let's just go ahead and get into the video. First, I want to talk about these sales updates coming out because it puts a lot of stuff in perspective, and I think it maps out the future of one company, or at least it seems to. PlayStation put out a sales update, I think over the weekend or something, and they showed over a 3-month period. I'll be putting it on the screen right now. Sony sold 9.5 million consoles in only 3 months. That is absolutely incredible, especially when you go back and look at how the PS5 was at launch. It seemed like an exclusive console. It was so hard to get one. Now they're just sitting in stores, right? Even PlayStation Portals are sitting in stores. That being said, this is still an incredible number, and I think it says that they are only 1.5 million units behind where the PS4 was at the same exact time, and I do think the PS5 is eventually going to outsell the PlayStation 4. It just seems like it's heading in that direction. But to put this in perspective, we need to compare it to a competitor. I'm not going to compare it to Nintendo because Nintendo is, doing their own thing, right? And I did look up sales numbers for 2024 for the Switch, but I couldn't find numbers just for that year. But I found numbers for Xbox. They only sold an estimated 2.7 million units during 2024, which is allegedly the worst full year performance in Xbox history. It's crazy. It's like a staggering number. It's a huge difference, right? Does it even make sense for them to continue to make consoles at this point? Or should they just put Game Pass everywhere, right? And sell the games wherever you can play a game at? I just don't even know, doesn't make sense anymore. I am not the biggest Xbox fan anymore. I was for the longest time, but there's nothing like taking my attention to the platform. So I sold my Xbox Series S, I think last year, and it was my second Xbox that I sold. That being said, I still want to see them do good. I still want to see new Xbox consoles come out. And it just feels like such a strange time in gaming right now. So PlayStation and Nintendo seem like they have their own monopoly in the gaming world, and it's going to be a very strange future moving forward in gaming, especially with brand identity. Now that we have that out of the way, let's start moving into some Nintendo Switch news, and let's start with some Nintendo Direct news. I think there's a Nintendo Direct this week. I had a source saying last week, obviously that didn't happen, but my source did say a PlayStation event was happening last week, and that did happen. So hey, 50%, right? And we have an update for that as well, just more evidence. Maybe not that it's happening this week, but that it is happening in February. And if it's not happening this week, it's like, when the hell is this thing gonna happen? So maybe by the time you're watching this video, Nintendo has already announced it for Tuesday. PH Brazil claims that a February Direct is still happening again, and this is the same source with the August Direct. And this is gonna be a Nintendo Switch focused Nintendo Direct. This is very exciting, don't get me wrong, but I'm really scratching my head wondering, what the hell could they possibly tell us that we already don't know about, right? There's a Pokemon Presents at the end of the month. I think that's where we'll get some Pokemon Legends EA news. So what do we do here? What could we possibly expect? Maybe Twilight Princess or Wind Waker? And that would be cool, and I think that would be a great way to end the Nintendo Switch generation. But at the same time, as much as I want to play these games again, we got these games every single console since the GameCube. I kind of think it makes sense to skip the Switch, especially since we're at the end of the Switch. Save these for the Nintendo Switch 2 as like a filler game sometime. Yeah, I think that just makes the most sense. So I really don't know what they would do. Maybe bring Nintendo Selects back for like 20 games. Walmart, Target, and Amazon, and Best Buy and all these retailers have been having massive Nintendo Switch sales lately. For physical games, I'm talking about like $17 for Pokemon, $20 for Zelda. I know we're moving towards the Switch 2, but I almost feel like Nintendo Selects could really come back, especially with the Switch 2 being backwards compatible. But yeah, allegedly, Nintendo Direct is still happening in February, and that's good news. Now, let's start talking about the Switch 2. We have some crazy-ass Switch 2 updates and leaks and reports and whatever else. Let's talk about a Switch 2 game that's allegedly coming, I think they said 2026. And I keep hearing 2026 and think, dude, that's like 2 years away. Why are they talking about this? But we're in 2025, and I have to remember this. I keep forgetting, but we are in 2025. So you may ask, well, what is this game, right? Well, it's a beloved Nintendo franchise. This game is coming out after a game that hasn't even came out already. Does this make sense? Well, let me answer that for you. No, the hell, it does not make sense. This information is coming from Nash Weedle, who is a very prominent Nintendo leaker. Those of you who follow me already know that I mentioned that Metroid Prime 5 is being developed at the same time as 4. It looks like it will feature a vertical exploration gameplay approach with altered gravity mechanics. Obviously, it would be exclusive to the Switch 2 and would be released in 2027. So, allegedly, I just gave you guys wrong information. I said 2026. But 2027 is still not that far away, especially when you keep in mind we have not played Metroid Prime 4 yet. Now, if there is a Nintendo Direct this month, I really think they're going to talk about Metroid Prime 4 there, and I do think this game is coming sooner than later. Definitely not in February, but I could see this easily being an April release, and then maybe we'll also get Metroid Prime 2 and 3. I don't think it would be the remastered versions. I think it would be straight ports, the same way they did Pikmin 1 and 2, and I could see these being shadow dropped. Like, they announce it at the Direct, like, hey, Metroid Prime 2 and 3 are on the eShop right now, and then you can get physical versions of them in a month or something. And then I could easily see us getting Metroid Prime 4 in maybe April or possibly even May. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some crazy ass Switch 2 news that happened over the weekend that I wanted to let linger a little bit before I talked about it. First, a Nintendo Switch 2, or maybe possibly multiple Nintendo Switch 2s, are being sold on the black market, and I would say how much you think these are being sold for, but you've probably already seen the news. But if you haven't seen the news, it's crazy. It's not $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 or even $20,000 or $30,000. Allegedly, a Switch 2 is being sold, or maybe multiple, for $40,000 on the black market. As reported on the Nintendo Switch 2 subreddit, blah 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 forums user who obtained last year a CAD model of the Nintendo Switch system and provided the first accurate look at its design before the official reveal last month, shared a screenshot featuring a conversation with a black market seller saying the system, complete with dock and Joy-Con controllers, cost, I don't even know what that means, but around $39,780. This number sounds crazy because, well, it is crazy, but what I've heard is they're buying this and then they're giving the exact dimensions or something to accessory manufacturers, and they're selling that information to them so that these accessory manufacturers will have, like, I guess, specific accessories for the Switch 2, you know, not just like a carrying case or maybe a grip, maybe other stuff that you could only use on the Switch 2. So they're hoping to recoup their investment that way, but $40,000 sounds insane, especially when April, the beginning of April, we have hands-on events. That's like a month and a half away. You can just go to these events and have hands-on the Switch 2 and get the dimensions. Hell, they'll probably even let you take a ruler in there and measure stuff if you wanted to, or you could download an app on your iPhone and measure it. But $40,000, man. I've heard a lot of dumbass stuff in the gaming industry. This is about as much as a dumbass you could be, at least in my opinion. Now, we also got an update. I think this came from a patent, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess it's coming directly from Nintendo about the Switch 2. And it's a weird feature, which has me like wondering kind of what's the point, but at the same time, they tell you the point, but then I guess it also opens up different possibilities. But allegedly, on the Nintendo Switch 2, you will be able to take your Joy-Cons off, rotate the screen of the Switch 2, and put your Joy-Cons back on. So that would like me be playing my Nintendo Switch upside down, but my Joy-Cons would be right side up. And they say, well, why would you want to do that? And I guess it's so you could have the aux port on top or on the bottom, or I can't remember why, but there is a cool animation over on the Nintendo Switch 2 subreddit, so shout out to Jard Dog. They did an amazing job on this. So you pop off the Joy-Cons, rotate the console, pop it back on, and that's kind of cool, especially since the Joy-Cons just snap in, they don't slide like these ones do. That makes a lot of sense, and I can see that working perfectly fine. Now, here's something that I think could happen. If your Switch can be upside down like this, then in theory, you could attach the dock of the Nintendo Switch 2 to the top of your Switch 2. Does this make sense? No, it does not make sense, but in theory, you could do that, right? And I wonder if that would bring any added benefits. I'm going to say no, and it sounds like a dumbass thing to do, but you could do that, right? So, weird stuff. I think we're in for a bunch of surprises with the Switch 2, and yeah, this is the weird and wacky stuff I'm hoping Nintendo's doing this next generation. But, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this information? Because your opinion matters most. So, we talked about quite a few things today. In the comments below, please, if you could, start a conversation. I love hearing from you guys. And if you made it to this part of the video, follow me on Instagram and follow me on Twitter or X or whatever it's called. I need to learn what it's called. I don't know. But please do that so we can keep this community growing. Because if we have a bigger following on YouTube and social media, we will get cooler opportunities as a community. So I would really appreciate you following and liking and subscribing. And you guys know me. I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace out.